Liam, now we've been talking about the disruption to commuters. What impact will this be having on the economy?
Of course it will impact the economy, Emily. It's not just leisure travel, it's travel for work, it's business confidence. People overseas will look at this. Can't Britain even get the trains to run, let alone run on time? And this train strike, it's now entering its third calendar year, believe it or not. Let's just have a look at some of the details here. I've got a little on-the-money graphic, because it's never the same without a graphic, is it? And here it comes. So we had the overtime ban start yesterday. The actual strike is from today, January the 30th, to Monday the 5th of February. It's a dispute between the ASLEF Train Drivers Union and 14 train operators in England. There might be one or two more as well. Now, ASLEF, the union, says some members have had no pay rise for 5 years. That's their beef. They're saying that ministers aren't engaging with the process. But ministers are saying, hang about, train drivers are paid on average 65 grand a year for a 35-hour week that only lasts 4 days. Nice work if you can get it. So look, this is a big headache for Rishi Sunak. I think the Prime Minister understandably spoke about this new legislation which the train operators could impose, as you say, Tom, to make sure that there's at least a 40% service on these train lines across England. But the train companies, they haven't got, quotes, the bottle, in the words of one minister I was just speaking to impose these legal restrictions on strike action. So it is a mess, and it's bad news for the government, of course, because it's generally the government that gets the blame. Labour have been practically silent on this. Some Labour backbenchers are saying, yes, of course, we support the strike action, but very little of that from the Labour front bench, of course, because they don't want to frighten the horses as we get into general election season.
Liam, can't the government compel these train operators to introduce these minimum service levels? Why isn't it happening?
You would think so, wouldn't you, Emily? Because that's what the law says. But the train operators, they operate independently. They get a lot of government subsidy, of course, indirectly, but they are independent operators. And it's, it may be that we're quite near to a resolution of this dispute. Fingers and toes crossed. It may be that ministers and the train operators feel that to impose this law would up the ante, would really ruin relations completely. But I, like you, am exasperated by these strikes, Emily, and you have to wonder if they've been softly for now into the third calendar year and the strike still isn't resolved. You have to ask, should they be changing tactics and playing a bit more hardball? I certainly think that there's very little public support. Opinion polls shows a lack of public support for these train strikes going ahead, not least because, whichever way you cut it, these train drivers are very well paid. Of course, ASLEF will say, Mick Lynch will say, but it isn't just about the train drivers, it's other support staff, other technical staff, maintenance staff who aren't as well paid as the heavily unionised, often long-established train drivers. But still, the train drivers are the kind of flagship employees, the ones who are refusing to come to work in the highest numbers. And it's more sort of New Year misery for people trying to make a living. And hey, tomorrow you got to hand in your tax return. And a lot of those
commuters are on far less than the train drivers are per year. But thank you very much for your time, Liam Halligan, as always, GB News economics and business editor with On the Money there.